I know these kind of videos can be controversial, but these are my favorite videos to make because when I was first decluttering 6 years ago, there were so many aha moments when I would watch other minimalist YouTube videos about getting rid of things. And through them, I was able to experiment with a lot of things that I'm going to tell you about today. So we are going to talk about 22 sometimes way outside the box things that you're probably forgetting to declutter in your home. The first thing is, of course, a little controversial, but it's all good. I got rid of all of our side tables in all of my main living spaces, and it has been so amazing. What I do now is I have a coffee table and I have a behind the couch table that my husband made. It makes my life so much easier having less flat surfaces. And the flat surfaces that I do have are multi-purpose. So the coffee table that I have in my living room, I can easily pick up, I can move around. If we have more guests over, it's an easy thing I can use as another chair. But at the end of the night, the main rule about my flat surfaces is that the coffee table never has anything on it. It's like dead man's land. Is that what you call it? I don't know. It never has anything on it. The problem I found with side tables was that I had a bunch of little ones all around the room. The visual clutter was overwhelming. All of them had drawers, and so it was just a place for me to kind of hoard away things. So I told you these were going to be a little weird, but this next one is spare buttons and clothing tags. Has anyone ever held on to those? Definitely me. You know those little buttons that come on the inside of our sweaters sometimes and we think, oh, I should definitely hang on to this? You don't need those. I don't know any time that I can ever remember actually using one of those. And yet I used to always cut them off and I would store them away like I was really going to reuse this someday when I had a button emergency. All right, let's talk about a hard one. And that is our gift bags and wrapping paper. Let's go back about 6 years when I was just starting out on this journey. I had so many rolls of different Christmas paper and gift bags. It was like a whole closet full of this stuff. And I remember when I was finally ready to get in there and start decluttering, I was like, how do I know what I can get rid of and what I'm going to regret getting rid of at the end of the day? And I had to remember that all these rolls of Christmas paper, how many times does Christmas come around? Exactly one time a year. And so I was hanging on to all of these rolls of paper when at the end of the day, when Christmas came around again, guess what I would go do? I wanted a new fun pattern of Christmas paper. And so it was such a waste of my space. And now what I do is I have one basket that holds all the gift bags and the tissue paper. And the wonderful thing is that I don't remember the last time I actually bought a bag because I have decided I just don't care what holiday they might have slapped on the front of the gift bag. If it's a gift bag that I was given for Christmas or my birthday, it can go back out on any holiday or occasion, and nobody actually cares that it says happy birthday or Merry Christmas. I've never gotten a complaint about getting a gift in a wrong bag. But setting limits for our tissue paper and our wrapping paper and our gift bags will definitely save you a lot of space. All right, let's talk about decorative pillows because this is also a little controversial and we all have different feelings about this. I do not any longer have decorative pillows that are only for one season. You guys have given me some great tips, and that is if you are somebody who really likes decorative pillows for every season, to just have a couple inserts that you use all of the time and to just change out the actual decorative pillowcase. And I thought that was awesome because that does save a lot of space. But I was somebody who didn't do that, and I just had a ton of dedicated pillows for every holiday. That took up so much space. And at the end of the day, when the new holiday would come, I would buy more. And it was just ridiculous. And so what I do now is that the two pillows that I have on this couch all the time just always stay. And my mom gave them to me. They're really nice quality. They're filled with feathers. So sometimes you'll see like a little feather floating in the air, but these cases can come off. They are nice quality and I just wash them and I put them back on. I got a few pillows for the couch downstairs that I absolutely love. As we're talking about pillows, I have decluttered all of my decorative pillows on my bed, but I've also been decluttering old pillows that are flat and uncomfortable because I have finally decided that sleep is really important and worth my time and energy to find the right pillow. So that's where I wanted to thank today's sponsor, which is Sleep and Glow. They let me try the Omnia pillow, which is designed for people like me who are side and stomach sleepers. I've used this pillow for the past 2 months now. I've found a few things to be really true about it, and that is I used to wake up really puffy and, like your face is just all squished, right? And you got all these wrinkles. And I didn't realize that that had a lot to do with the fact that you're sleeping a long time and you're sleeping basically squishing your face, right? I love the way my face feels when I wake up because when you lay down on this pillow, it's basically like floating on air. Your skin avoids any compression and folding during your sleep thanks to the pillow's unique cradle design. They found in their study that the wrinkles decreased in 87% of patients. The Sleep and Go pillow is also designed by orthopedics, so for people like me who always wake up with back pain, you will notice pretty quickly that your body's position while you sleep is incredibly important in helping you wake up with a lot less stiffness and pain. And if you weren't sure before, they offer a 30-night sleep trial, money-back guarantee. If you're interested in trying something new and different, then the link is in the description down below. You can use the code MINIMALE and you will get $15 off their pillows and blankets and also 10% off the rest of anything on their website. I'm the kind of minimalist that I very much believe having less is extremely important, but when you have less, you need to be much more aware of what you're picking and look for quality over quantity. Okay, raise your hand if you have these in your fridge right now, because if I go look right now, I might. And that is our expired condiments and sauces in our kitchen. With my ADHD, we'll often forget what I have bought and I'll rebuy it again. So around Christmas, I ended up with 3 baking powders because I needed it. And then I forgot that I already had 2 at home. So I went to the store and I got another one. Luckily, I did find some lovely people that needed some baking powder. So those are back out of my house. But if you are not paying attention, we can very easily hang on to condiments that are way past their limit. We don't think about until we need them, and so they hang around in our little refrigerator for far, far too long. All right, so right down below, if you are gonna try or have already tried any of these, I would love to know like what works for your house, because I know that's the only way that this community works is that we share our ideas and help each other. If you wanna join Minimal Ease, then hit the subscribe button. And also if you're already decluttering and organizing with us, then throw a heart emoji down below. But let's talk about the next one that I used to be so bad at, and that is keeping picture frames that we're not actually using. And I always just thought, oh, I'm going to find a purpose for this, right? Like there will be a day where I will find the right picture to put in this frame, and living in that is ridiculous because I just had this whole hoard of picture frames that I was never going to use, because if I was going to use them, I would have used them, right? And so look in those hidden places. They're probably in your attic or maybe under your bed if you have one of those big boxes that go under your bed. Pull out all the picture frames and just pick out the ones that you want to use right now. If you don't have any place around your house right now that you could use that frame, then that's a really good signal, something that I use to let me know that this item can go. All right, let's continue on with the weird and out of the box things that we might hang on to. And that goes along with coupons and business cards, which I haven't gotten one of those in a while, but like receipts that we get from stores, and we just hang on to them. I don't even think that I used to hang on to them because I thought I was going to use it, but I hang on to them just in case, or because I'd throw it in my purse and have it forever. I do have 2 coupons on my fridge right now that I intend to use. But you know, the rule that I have for coupons is that if I don't use them within a week, then I let them go, because that's a sign to myself that I can have really good intentions about stuff like using a coupon. I'm not a professional couponer and often I forget to use it anyway. So it's kind of like that rule, like when you buy things, would you buy that item even if it was full price? And if you weren't going to buy it at full price, why do you need it if you have a coupon or if it's on sale? That's what I always have to keep in mind when it comes to that. Going through that drawer where you might store them, or for me, often I find I just shove it in the front part of my car. And anything that's older than a week, it can probably get out of there. Next one is sunglasses and glasses in general that we might hang on to. My grandfather was the king of keeping every pair of glasses he ever had in his whole life. He used to have this huge box, and as a child, I just found it like very fascinating, but I never understood why he needed them. But that's a side note. Are you hanging on to ones that you never wear because they're too big, too small for your face? Do you have sunglasses that have a bunch of scratches on them that you can barely see out of? Yes, I do. And those ones can go. What I like to do for myself is I have a pair that I always keep in my bag. Those are my favorite sunglasses. And then I have a spare pair that I put in my husband's car in case I don't bring my purse and I want a pair of sunglasses. So 2 has worked for me really well. But coming down to a more comfortable number, I used to have around 10 or 12 because I'd buy a bunch of cheap ones, and spending slightly more money, finding a pair that you really enjoy, and then getting a little case for them means that you only need maybe 1 or 2 as opposed to a ton of cheap ones that break all the time. All right, I like this one. This one is the hangers that we get when we buy clothes from the store. And those hangers are not only cheap and not very useful, but we hang on to them forever because we think they need to go with that item. So I recently got my daughter a really cute new outfit for spring, and it came with one of those hangers, right? And it had a little clip for the pants, and the shirt could hang on the same hanger, and multifunction, amazing. But did I keep it? No. And here's the big reason why. I only have a set amount of hangers for myself, my husband, and my daughter so that we can continue to use the one in, one out rule. And when those hangers are full, I know that something needs to go back out. And the other thing is that they all match. When everything matches, not only looks better, but it makes the whole closet just flow better. And so for me, I always just get rid of, or don't take in the first place, any of the hangers that might come on the clothes from the store. Those luggage tags that we get when we travel, or for my husband, he likes to hang on to the air tickets that we will get, or when we get on the metro somewhere and we have the card for that. But we do pay very close attention to these sentimental items that we take from places. We've gotten a lot better about not buying a lot of sentimental items that we take home from our trips, but those little pieces of paper, sometimes we do hang on to. And so going through the ones you've collected, do they still spark that happiness, that fun memory, that trip that you went on? Or can you not even remember the time you used it? Those ones can go back out. All right, let's talk about another weird thing that we might hang on to, and that's rubber bands that we get from things like if we got a newspaper, and those paper clips that we got off of items that we were given, those extra envelopes that we might have hanging around, even though we don't have the cards anymore. Let's look for some of those random things. They're probably in your junk drawer if you're still keeping them. I used to have a bunch of just like random rubber bands all over the house because I would keep them. Whenever I would find one, they would just hang out in my house. It's amazing the weird things that I would keep. But you might have some of those in your house too. If you do, then collect them all together. I would say all the paper clips go together. All the extra staples go together. If you collect them all, then it's easier to decide what you want to keep and what you don't, and then finding a home for them, because that was the biggest problem. Sure, I had these things, but they were all over my home, so I never knew if I needed a rubber band, where it would even be. All those things start with consolidating, finding a good home where you are gonna remember to look again the next time you need them. I hope you're enjoying this because some of these took me a minute to think about because there are things that I have decluttered over the years that really were outside the box. And the next one is our cell phone cases. Keeping those old ones that are broken, even the cell phones that are broken that we're not using, is definitely something that was hard for me, hard for my husband. And whether it was the case or the actual phone, trying to figure out what to do with it. And, can you declutter this? Does it still have information on it that I need? That might take you a minute to, reset the phone before you give it away. But there are definitely places that take cell phones, like nonprofit organizations that use them for amazing things. That's something that I've done some research on before. With cell phone cases, you can just donate those to the thrift store. If they're in decent condition, they will take them and somebody will be so happy to find them. But hanging on to the ones that just didn't work for you isn't going to change the fact that they didn't work for you and you're not going to go reach for them again. All right, so instruction manuals are also slightly complicated because you want to make sure that you do know how to use that appliance, right? Before you get rid of it. And we recently have just done a bit of an upgrade in our kitchen. We've been upgrading slowly our kitchen over the past 8 years that we've lived here. And so we recently got some new appliances and we wanted to keep the manuals so that when we set everything up, we knew how it worked. The great thing is that once you do that, you don't need to hang on to them anymore. If it makes you feel better, you could take a picture of what the manual looks like. But honestly, I don't remember a time in my entire life that I've gone back to a manual and it's really helped me solve the problem that I was having. It's usually either something that you're going to have to call a specialist or you could YouTube what the problem is. That's what my husband normally does and find the answer to how to fix something. He tried several times to fix our old dishwasher. None of the YouTube videos worked until he realized that it just wasn't fixable. And we never had the manual for that. We just figured it out. So the next one is unused loyalty cards. Think about, do you still go to like Costco, or is that membership over? Do you still go to the Y, or is that membership done? Do you still go to places like B-dubs or activity places that maybe you took your kids and you don't go there anymore? We hang on to those cards. I don't even know why, but for so long thinking, oh, I just can't get rid of this. But if you're not going to rejoin, or even if you're going to rejoin, they're going to give you a new card. I hung on to my old YMCA card for like years. I don't know why. It was just one of those things. But it wasn't a sentimental item to me. It was just something that I kept forgetting to get rid of. So collecting all of those loyalty cards from all those places that you no longer use or no longer go to and letting those go is one less thing that you have to see as you're going around your house and taking note of it, but then never doing anything about it. This is something I recently just did with my husband, and that is to declutter any cables or chargers that are duplicates or you don't know where they go to and you've tried. So I did this recently because most of our cords and chargers and extension cords were all in one big heap pile, and not only did I not really know where they went to, and we didn't have that appliance or that piece of technology anymore, and so we were just hanging on to it because it was in there. And so what I did now is I gathered all of the like chargers and like cords together and I put them in a Ziploc bag. I labeled it with what's inside of it. And now anytime that we need a phone charger or a piece of technology, it's right there, it's easy to find, and I don't have to run around looking for it anymore. When you're thinking about decluttering your cords and your chargers, we can easily get stuck in thinking that I have to keep it because it's a useful item and possibly need in the future. But what I will say is that almost all cords, I'm going to go out on a limb and say like 90% of chargers and cords, you could most likely get for that $20 or less in 20 minutes or less, or at least order it online in 20 minutes or less. And so they're really not something that we need to put such a huge value on and keeping a ton of duplicates. We are rocketing right along. And the next one is old calendars and agendas. And this is definitely something that we can start hanging on to because I don't know, like we just put them away, we shove them away. Maybe we even become sentimental about this calendar or this agenda, but it's not something that we want to keep out. So it's not really decor. And it's not something that we're going to be using again. So it's not super useful. So looking for those old agendas, those old calendars, and even maybe those old notebooks that we've written in and journaled in, if it's not something that you can see yourself looking back through every month at least, then it's not something that you necessarily need to hang on to forever. Let's talk about our tote bags and those bags that we use for when we go grocery shopping, which is awesome. So we don't have to use the plastic bags anymore, but we can definitely get way more than we could ever use. And so I have a small one that I can pull out, and it actually just opens up from this little tiny bag that I can use when I go shopping, and I throw that in my purse. I have a few larger ones that I keep in my car for when I go to places like Aldi and I need a bag. There is, though, something called a limit of what we really need. If you go grocery shopping, you might need 3 to 4. I guess depending on how many kids you have, but 3 to 4 is probably good enough for any shopping trip. If you have a ton more than that, Are you using them and pulling them out? We can get totes all the time. Sometimes I'll get them from my mom or family members, and they'll put gifts in them because they don't want to use that one use bag. You also get them from tons of other places. Like stores will give them away for free sometimes. They're constantly coming in these little tote bags that are reusable, so we hang on to them for way too long than we need to. Gather all of them up, count how many you have, put a few in your car, maybe one in your purse that you can use, and then declutter the rest of them. This next one was one of my favorite things to do when I was still a full-time classroom teacher, and that was to go through all of my pens and markers and get rid of the rest, because it's the most annoying thing as a teacher to start writing in on some paperwork or grading some papers and you pull out a pen and it absolutely does not work. And the same thing goes for at home. We do not need to be hanging on to 10 pens just because it came in a pack. If you only really need 2 pens, donate the good ones to a local school or the library. There are tons of places that need these resources that we are holding on to and never using. And the other thing is to find a location where you are going to keep these items, and that way you will know when it's time to start decluttering them, because maybe if it's one jar, the jar starts getting too full, or your markers are always in one container. Well, when the container gets too full, you know it's time to go through it. Unfinished craft supplies and DIY things that we started, never finished. Maybe we don't have the patience for it, and we hang on to those items anyway. I have definitely done this many times. And what I've realized is that I love the idea of starting crafting, but there are many crafts like knitting that I have tried many, many times and I just can't get into it. Sorry if you're a huge knitter. I really appreciate it and I would love to learn how to do it, but I don't have the patience for it at this point in my life. So I would hang on to all these crafts that I would like to do, my future self, my fantasy self would love to do. But if you have a lot of those little pieces, they're probably not making you feel too good when you look at them, because you know either you don't have the time or energy to do them. And just because you have them doesn't mean you're going to want to do them. And so for me, if I get a craft and I want to do it, it has to be done within that week. I am all about learning and trying new crafts. I'm just not about keeping them around forever when you know you don't enjoy them. The next one is our kitchen gadgets that seem like a great idea and then we realize we never use them. Like I used to have a potato masher. Great idea, right? My mom loves hers and I got one. I don't use it. I don't use it. And so it was just one more thing. Sure, these kitchen appliances don't always take up a ton of room, right? They're just thrown in a drawer. But it's the idea that all these things do matter. They do take up space. And we have to start living in the present, not what might happen in the future, but right now. Am I using it? Absolutely not. Never used it. Had it for a couple months. And then I realized that and I decided to declutter it. So go through your kitchen, start with just one drawer and look in it. Have I touched everything in this drawer in the past month? If I haven't touched it, why? We love those koozies, right? The things that hold our drinks. Have I not touched this or used it? Is it a person that I want to be, but I'm not? If that's the case, then we know we can let it go. And the great thing is, again, about kitchen gadgets is that usually you can just get it from a thrift store again, or you can get it really cheap. If you do change your mind and one day you really need it, you can go find it very easily and very quickly, or you could even borrow it. So I have a million of these little ideas and I could keep going on with this video for absolutely forever, but I'm gonna start shutting it down now with this last one. And that is to go into our bathroom and find the expired lotions, the unused sprays, the things that we wanted to try in our hair that never worked. Let's declutter those because they add up very, very quickly. They do expire. Like think about makeup. When is the last time you used this piece of makeup? I used to hang on to things like, because you know how we shift from sometimes our summer makeup and our winter makeup. For me, I have to. And I would hang on to the things from the beginning of the last season. A lot of times, by the time I was ready to use it again, it was almost a full year and they wouldn't be in date anymore. My skin is super sensitive. Yours is too. Using those products over and over again is not going to be great for your skin. you're gonna end up breaking out. So let's go through those drawers of makeup, that drawers of the hair products we tried and hate, that shampoo or conditioner that didn't work in our hair. And there are tons of places that you can give those to. Just, you can look them up online, whether it's your local thrift store or your women's shelter. There are tons of places that you can give things like makeup and shampoo and conditioner that are still in date, but you aren't enjoying them. All right, friends, we have made it. So we did all of those 22 things. You can take it or leave it, and you can even add some in the comment section down below if you have some amazing ideas. I know we would all love to hear them. But if you have enjoyed this video and you want to learn a little bit more, then please click on one of these videos right here and continue your journey. And I wish you guys all the very best.